Good morning. You're listening to Blaine's World Show here on WPVM FM in Asheville, North Carolina. We're also on Facebook Live, and we're on every Wednesday. And I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield. And it's my pleasure to introduce my first guest, and he is Tom Chalmers. Welcome aboard, Tom.
Hey, Blaine. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, well, it's my pleasure. And Tom, while we're at it, you can also wave to all your fans and friends in Facebook world. So if you want to say everybody's...
Hello, Facebook. This is my face.
Okay, and I should mention that each week on the Blaine's World Show, we focus on the Asheville theater scene, as well as on positive news and information about people and organizations in the Asheville area. And with respect to Tom as my guest, this guy I've tried to get on for a long time, and Tom, in a crazy way, maybe this gives us a break, because I can pin you down, you can pin me down, so I'm glad we finally got you to come on board.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, nice to finally bring this moment about.
Okay, and I should mention that Tom, I've known kind of indirectly. We've had, I went to the course with you, Tom. I may have mentioned this to you, but I guess you've had a few students over the years take courses with you.
Just a few, yes.
Just a few. And Tom, I should mention, in terms of background, is a graduate of Columbia University, and Tom was artistic director of New York City's Groundlings East and literary manager of LA's Sacred Fools Theater. He's appeared in a few feature films, screened at Sundance, and assortment of short films, and a number of national commercials. Tom has written for Showtime Television, PBS, and USA Networks. He's taught at NYU Warren Wilson College, currently teaches, or he's taught at Flatiron Writers Room, Magnetic U, and the Asheville School of Improv, which he started. He's a member of the acclaimed improv comedy troupe, Riesel and Bryce Babies. I've seen you in that as well. Host and producer of the monthly storytelling series, Listen to This on Saturday afternoons. You can hear Tom on Asheville FM, the local station 103.3, where he co-hosts a sports talk radio show, and he DJs an hour of music. I guess, Tom, what do you have? You have a pair of roller skates that get you around to all these different places?
Yes, I have effectively cloned myself, so me and my two other versions are very busy. No, that's how a place like Asheville works. If you get plugged into the many different things that are going on here, it's really rare that you go too long without finding something interesting to participate or offer or witness.
And that's also, I think, the very first time I saw you, I'm trying to think whether I may have taken an improv course with you, or also you were in that Christmas show, which you were in for a lot of years. What was that show?
Yeah, so the show called the Santaland Diaries, which is based on an essay by David Sedaris and adapted for the stage. And I was lucky enough a bunch of years back, right when I had first moved to town, Asheville Community Theater had been doing it downstairs in their black box space, but decided to, due to its popularity, move it up to the main stage. And when they did that, the actor who had been doing the role moved west, and I happened to move east from west. So they said, is this something that I would, would I be interested in? And yes, it's great. I love David Sedaris' writing, and anytime as a performer you can take on the challenge of a one-person show where you are playing multiple characters and carrying a arc of a story, it's just a great challenge, and it turned out to be a really fun tradition. We did that for 7 years in a row up at the main stage, and with sold out audiences, and going out into the crowd and harassing them in the energy of Crumpet the Elf. And yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I appreciated that I was known as that elf guy to many people. One of the years in which the Mountain Express did one of their readers polls, they had a category for best local comedian, and I ended up kind of co-winning that award. Luckily, someone at the Mountain Express staff kept, when people are like, who's that elf guy? People keep writing in that elf guy. Who's that elf guy? And someone's like, oh, that's Tom Chalmers. So luckily, because of that, I got all the votes for that elf guy and ended up co-winning the award one year. So hooray. And still to this day, I mean, I left the show, and then I did come back and have done it a few years back downstairs, sort of stepped in when an actor wasn't able to do it one year. And they said, well, if anybody's going to be able to learn it quickly, it's Tom, who did it a bunch of years. So I have done it back in the smaller space the last couple of years. But even then, along the way, I'd just be, walking downtown or someplace, and people will still go, "Hey, hey, that elf guy, hey!" And there are worse things to be known as.
The question I always ask, and so I'll ask it of you too, is you've been doing this for a while. Do you remember how you first got into performing?
Sure. Well, performing for me was getting the attention of the class, so fifth grade, sixth grade, I sort of realized that I could hold the attention of my class. And then I sort of learned along the way, I could be funny enough so that the teacher was annoyed, but not angry, because it's sort of hard to really yell at someone when you're still laughing at what they just did. So I sort of figured out that balance between disruptive and charming, hopefully. So that's when I sort of figured it out. And then since then, have just been looking for organized ways to do that. So I did a little bit of, theater in junior high and high school, doing, speech tournaments and things like that. But really it caught on for me when I went to college. I was lucky enough to go to Columbia, and somebody was starting an improv troupe when I got there. And my roommate came back with the flyer, and he was like, "You do this anyways, you might as well go do this on stage." And I've always said it, and his main motive was to get me out of the room so he could go back to being the funniest guy in the room, which wasn't true if I was around. So yeah, I just started performing in an improv troupe in college, and it's just what I sought out. So I went to Chicago to, learn more, and just, sought out however I could find myself on stage. So if that is doing improv instead of doing stand-up, sketch, storytelling, I just really enjoy being on stage.
Talk about your junior high days. Do you remember your first role?
Well, my first role was elementary school. I did play Charlie Brown in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And then in ninth grade, we actually kind of wrote an original piece where I sort of played kind of a version of the Fonzie character, as kind of kids from the future kind of come back to the 1950s. So we actually wrote an original piece, and I got to be like the cool guy. But yeah, and then so maybe my first real role, believe it or not, my high school did a production of 1984 that I was in 1984.
Because I always have this great fundraising idea, Tom, and I think you were the kind of guy who could help carry it off. But we get everybody to, let's say, Asheville Community Theater, and everybody would do their first role, like 5 minutes. Like your first role when you were a kid. Do they have a videotape of that anywhere?
That I don't think so. We have pictures of the 1984 production, but I don't know if we have any video of me being Charlie Brown in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. But yes, I would love to revisit the role of Charlie Brown. I feel he speaks to us still to this day.
Everybody just do a 5-minute bit, and I really think people would pay to see this.
I think that's great.
Tom Chalmers' his first performance. Take it then. So you were in college, and talk a little bit about then how you got into improv. So you went. Was it in college you started, and then you went to Chicago?
So someone was starting up a troupe. They had, probably done some improv at their high school or some theater camp they were involved with, and they wanted to do more of that. So they put up a sign and said, "Who else wants to do it?" And I was interested, but I was particularly happy that I chose to spend my summers going to Chicago and really trying to absorb as much of the improv culture as I could. So studying at Second City and at Improv Olympic with Del Close, who's one of the icons of improv. And that's when I realized that this is what I wanted to do. I liked being challenged to create in front of a live audience. And that challenge has not lost its appeal to me. I continue to pursue that, 30 years later.
Well, let me ask you a question, Tom, because I think you're also known as, like that, aside from being the elf guy, you're also known now as a teacher of improv.
Yes.
I guess a question to ask you, do you prefer the teaching or performing?
I always prefer performing. Although I love teaching, I feel like that is, a calling of mine. I don't know how you use such words a lot, but I do feel like I've been sort of called, yes, an improv shaman. It's something that I enjoy, and I want people to understand what it has meant for me, what it has allowed me to do as a performer. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and I've done it a bunch. So I do feel like I'm able to let people understand what are some of the basic approaches that result in improv working out more than it doesn't, which is not always easy to promise people in a non-scripted format.
Now, talk about one of the things I think you do, and you do it very well, is that you'll take people, including myself at one time, who have never done improv. You know, I guess they're a little nervous or apprehensive about it, and you help them get beyond the apprehension from doing it. How do you
That's
do
nice
it?
to hear.
How do
I'm
you
glad you felt that.
yeah? How do you make people feel at ease with this?
Well, again, I like bite-sized portions early on. So I try to lead people through small, achievable exercises at first, so they get a sense of, well, that wasn't so bad. That was okay. I am not someone who believes in the just, throw the baby in the pool and he'll learn to swim kind of thing. I don't know if people still do that or if they ever did, but I think you know what I mean. But yeah, so I try to let people see, like, look, that little, 1 minute thing you just did, you're improvising, look at you. And then try to build from there and build from there. So, eventually you do get to the point where you can start encouraging people to make stronger choices, and we like the term more sustainable choices. But early on, I think you just want to invite people forward to be like, hey, what's someone has just said something or done something, try to find an honest reaction to that, find connection. So yeah, just along the way, just as a business model, I want people to come back. I want people to go, that was fun, I want more of that. So I don't see how it's in my interest to have people sort of nosedive right away trying improv and just being like, well, that was just discouraging, so no thank you. So for them, again, I want people to feel more and more confident as they go. But for me, there's no benefit in making it impossible and then being overly critical right away. I don't see how that serves anybody.
One of the things I get a kick out of is that when you teach the course at Asheville Community Theater, I don't know if you call it the graduation ceremony or whatnot, but you open up, I guess, the last class to the public.
Yeah.
You invite them to see this. Explain what that's all about.
Sure. Those are, student showcases. So yeah, and some, I used to at times, just have an open last class, but now that I teach, so the Asheville School of Improv is run out of Asheville Community Theater, teaching the majority of our classes out of 35 below. And Asheville Community Theater, as a performing space, definitely is looking for chances to show off the students who are coming through there. So they've been really great in making, whether it be 35 below or the main stage, available for these showcase performances. And improv is a performing art. So I think it should be performed at some point for an invited audience. With the early levels, the first two levels, we'll make it available to whoever would like to come. And I just want people to know what it is. Performing meets adrenaline can bring out even greater possibilities in you, but also you can find yourself abandoning some of the improv principles. You stop listening, kind of go for the joke. You're not really focused on the other people on stage. And I want people to get a taste of that and be like, I don't know why I just started shouting. And I was like, well, because you felt adrenaline. You knew that there were expectant eyes and ears in the audience. So you wanted to please them. And all those things are very understandable. So I just want people to know that. And then if they're not happy with how it went, it's like, okay, maybe next time lean on the training a little bit more, the listening, the yes and the line building. That is there to help us succeed when we do get a little anxious or over adrenalated.
Tom, talk about how improv training translates into other things. Specifically, let me first of all ask you in terms of improv training for actors.
Yeah.
Recommend it?
Oh, I do. When I was artistic director in New York for the Groundlings East, that is often something we would say, first or second level, what you should do right now is you go take an acting class. So an improviser is a good actor, and I think a good actor is a good improviser. So things that it helps are the ideas of active listening. So actors who generally hear the lines that are being fed to them and can react every time freshly That's a good instinct as an actor, rather than just sort of pausing, waiting for the person to be done, and then all of a sudden coming to life to say their line. That's not necessarily what you want to see as a director, as an audience member. So yeah, improvisers are taught to listen to the performers, because as an improviser, they are writing the lines as they go. So you have to listen to what they say to be able to respond to it. But even if the lines are predetermined, you still want to listen with that same intensity and curiosity. And then, being physical and making committed choices that you are encouraged to do in improv, particularly the groundling style, as I was taught. I think all that lends itself very well to being a good actor.
Well, I imagine it also helps when you're on stage with somebody like me, where I was in Hands on a Hard Body and I forgot a line, and the person playing opposite me really came in and was able to handle it with no problem.
Outstanding.
I guess he must have had some improv training, that I didn't come across the way I was supposed to.
Just that. Also, improv is definitely a team sport. I like to make reference to ultimate frisbee. Another, like, the spirit of the game. The spirit of the game is make your fellow performer look good, and if they're doing the same for you, everyone ends up coming out on the good side of things. So someone being ready to recognize that, all right, tonight's performance is not like the other ones, so let's embrace that rather than kind of panic or like, say the line, so that's another, doing improv, particularly for audiences, you understand live theater. That's why people like to watch it, because it is never the same thing twice. There is the chance of something going wrong. Going to make a weird jump here. I do host a sports talk radio show, and I'm sort of saying how odd it is that there's been an interest in iRacing, which is virtual race car driving. And I'm like, yeah, but if the person can't actually crash and blow up, it's just not as interesting. That's not why I watch race car driving. Not that I watch much of it, but my dad was a race car driver, so I know what that is to every week wonder if dad's going to come home, for many reasons. So just that. So I think live theater, you understand it could go wrong at any point, and that's why we lean into it. So that is an exciting idea for improvisers, as opposed to a panicked thing to avoid.
Talk also about improv. I don't know if you've worked with this, Tom, but I would imagine this would be a terrific skill for salespeople, for example, or people in any line of work, but especially in sales, having some improv skills could help you.
Oh, indeed. And Groundlings, we taught, business communication, improv things, and I did a lot of corporate comedy, which would involve often teaching executives and sales forces some of the fundamentals of improv and how's the lean in. Yes, all that. So again, listening, making whoever it is that you are interacting with, feeling that you are generally listening to them is a great thing. To be able, so improv is built on the concept of yes and. So as a salesperson or in any business environment, if you can roll with what is being presented to you, if things do shift a little bit, you aren't awkwardly flipping through your index cards going, wait, I didn't plan for that. You can yes and it, and but with everything, being clear about your setups, in improv, since we don't know what we're about to watch is being made up in front of you, you need to let us know, all right, so who are these people, where are we, and what are they doing? That's sort of the big drill in improv. In any sales pitch you're going to make, you're going to want to be able to have a clear setup, let people know why you're there, what you're there to sell, and what are the benefits moving forward. And if you have those clear delivery points, it's going to land well.
As you're talking, I'm thinking also this would be a great skill in terms of relationships as well. If you can work with somebody else and having some of these skills, it could be helpful.
Yes, it's been nice to have people speak how taking their class has, made them a better partner, a better parent. I have a woman here in Nashville who does a lot of video blogging about kind of conscious parenting, and she has really let improv inform her parenting in a way that's very nice to see, that someone took something from a class of mine and was able to turn around and teach other people how it could help them. And then, I'll go ahead. So there's a lot of great applications of improv. I'll dare to brag on some of my troupe mates. So yes, I am in a troupe, Reasonably Priced Babies. And two of the members, Mundy Carter and Karen Stobie, fantastic performers and improvisers. They are at the front of a movement of using improv techniques to help caring those with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Wow.
This is something that they had personal experience with, and they just sort of noticed if you kind of come in and you're constantly correcting the person who may have a different concept of where they are and what the date is. If you're it's really, it becomes an abrasive relationship. But if you yes and them, if you meet them halfway and agree with what they are telling you they are seeing, you can have very dynamic exchanges. So they were able to kind of discover that in caring for their parents, and then just decided to more and more share that with more people in the healthcare community, to the point where they eventually got to give a TED Med talk where they're standing with like neuroscientists and everything. We're like, we're two improvisers, but their ideas were equally as important. And now they create tutorials and things about what improv offers can be so beneficial when working with people in that condition.
If you remember, or I'll try to send you a note on it. I'd love to get their contact, because I'd love to show on that as well. You know,
sure. Yeah, I brag on them a lot.
No, I'm saying what a phenomenal aspect.
Yes.
If somebody comes sees you, Tom. So I know, I think I've seen you in that troupe as well. Talk about when people come to an improv show, what happens?
Well, we try to be clear. Again, we've been lucky. We perform in great venues. We're enjoying a residency at Ambrose West most recently, before performing was halted. So we try to create energy in the environment. We come out, we let people know that this is an improv show. We will be making things up in front of you. We will be relying on you for your suggestions to spark the songs and scenes and stories that we will create here. And then we try to give people a quick example. We will often start our show by doing a structure called Next, where we simply say, we ask you for a single word, just one word. We will take that word and spin it into a quick, short scene. And as soon as it sort of reaches its first bit of funny, we'll yell out next. You just give us another single word, another short scene. So it's an easy chance for them to just kind of get used to giving suggestions. And it's a good way for us to flex our muscles and do what we do. And we're happy to say that it does not take long into a show for us to have the wheels come off the ground and start to take flight. Sometimes we fly very high. Sometimes we hover just a few feet over the ground. But I think it is because we do this nice kind of short attention span start to the show that people feel like they understand what they're watching, and we give them a quick example of, this is who we are. We're these kind of funny, wacky people who are good at taking something that you say and turning it into something we do on stage.
Do you ever get stuck? Somebody says next, and then they throw out a word. Do you ever get stuck on it?
Not really. Okay, it's just kind of a word. And I would just say, even if you don't know what that word means, then what does it sound like? Or what does it remind you of? Or just have fun sort of saying the word balderdash. Just embrace it in any way. It's not like people are referring to a former version of the show that you're somehow getting things wrong. However you are inspired by the suggestion works. And usually, I feel like we're a fairly well-educated group of people. If we get a suggestion that we don't necessarily know, we're going to assume that a lot of the audience also doesn't know that reference. So play into it rather than pretending or being uncomfortable that, oh no, someone said a word I don't know. Okay, of course that's going to happen. If we ask for, 15 suggestions in a show, I bet you one of them along the way is going to be an odd one. Make it work for you.
With your troupe, do you have to rehearse?
I had a friend, he's like, practice, like rehearsal, like practice. We do improv practice, talking about practice. So yeah, we do practice for two end goals. One, we are often considering new structures. Our group tends to focus on short form, which are structures that are somewhere between kind of 3 to 10 minutes in length. off one or a handful of suggestions, as opposed to doing long form where a group might just get one suggestion at the top of the show and then go for a half hour or an hour. So we tend to do short form, and that's how we like it. And you're asking me what again?
No, but about rehearsal and practice.
Rehearsal, thank you. So we'll try out new structures, and then also it just, we like to use that phrase, well, let's get up on our feet. We just like to stay active. It's similar to a jazz band or a basketball team. You just want to make sure that you are staying in touch with your instincts and your just recognition of how the other players tend to play, so that there is a fluidity in what you do. So no, we don't, rehearse. We're not, the worst thing you can do is to run some things right before you're about to go on stage, and then try to do that same structure like 20 minutes later, but in front of an audience, because you're going to try to do what you just did, and it never works when you try to revisit it. So yes, we practice, we stay, again, fluid, get up on our feet, but there's only so much of that you can do. Mundy has a great expression. He doesn't really like, performing for chairs. Because there's no audience, so you're not really practicing what we do. We do improv sparked by audience suggestion and attention. So the audience is a big part of what we do. So again, we will practice, but we know it's not exactly what we're going to be doing, because until there's an audience that informs you how to continue to pursue a joke or let something go, it's just not the same.
And talk about then what you just said, improv then in times of the coronavirus,
Yes.
Talk about two things if you're doing. Are you doing any teaching, and also are you doing any performing?
I'll start with the second one. Yes, we are doing performing. So Reasonably Priced Babies continues to do shows. We miss performing at Ambrose. We have a nice following here in Nashville, and we do pretty well with our monthly shows. So we really miss that, but we didn't want to stop performing. So we have found a way to, we do shows on Zoom that we also then stream to our Facebook page, similar to what you're doing here. And it is working. It is not the same, but it is entertaining, and it is a way to stay connected with our community. And people, I believe, are sincere when they say it's just nice to see funny people being funny while facing the camera. And so we do that every 2 weeks. We'll be doing another one this Friday at 8 p.m. So again, if you go to Reasonably Priced Babies has a Facebook page. If you find us there, go ahead and like us, and you'll get notifications, but you don't even have to do that. Just find our page, 8 o'clock on Friday, and we'll be live streaming our most recent show.
And I give you a lot of credit, because I have a comedian friend who I won't mention, but he says he won't do comedy unless he's in front of a live audience. And I said, well, what are you going to do? Retire? That, you have to kind of try different things, reinvent things. And I think you're doing it.
Right.
And you're also
but it's true. It's not easy. And I would say, I would find stand-up would be particularly hard in this format. At least if we are interacting with each other as we're doing right now. I mean, improv really is just that. It's just a form of conversation. It's a slightly more entertaining form of conversation. So the fact that we do have interchange allows a kind of performing that doesn't come with just speaking directly to the camera. I do a storytelling series, and we have been doing shows online as well. But again, it's not quite the same. You are delivering on a story as opposed to this very specific learned rhythm of stand-up comedy, which I think is the hardest of the comedy art forms.
And it reminds me of Bill Maher. I watch him.
Yeah.
I love what he does. I don't know if you watch the show now.
Yes.
But he has a canned audience. It's like people from the 1930s are clapping for him. It's kind of funny how he does it.
Yeah.
But he's doing relatively well with it. It's not the same, but it's still pretty good. It's better than nothing.
I agree. And I think he has a really good developed sense of kind of the audience in his head. Right. He knows his rhythms, and he knows what his audience would most likely laugh at. So he knows to that's usually something that you guys would laugh at right here. And then he goes back and he does well by pulling audience clips from the Dinah Shore show and otherwise as the, hooray. And I've been impressed to see what people have done with the challenge of that. So I think he's done a nice job. I think some of the late night talk show hosts and otherwise, Trevor Noah and John Oliver, and so I mean, it's not the same, but I think because they understand their humor, they understand how their comedy lands. They know that's where someone would have laughed right there. So lean in, hear it in your head, and push forward, because it is difficult. I struggled with our first show with the babies and even the first storytelling. Without that audience reaction, it's hard as a performer not to assume, oh, this isn't going well, because you don't have the immediate affirmation of a laugh or even a gasp or whatever. So your instinct as a performer is like, oh no, this isn't going well. I have to adjust, I have to push, I have to shift. And I was pushing and shifting off of things that were going fine, but I was panicking because I didn't have the received messages of laughter or clapped or whatever. So it's hard not to panic.
Last question, as we're running out of time here.
Yep.
If somebody wants to get in touch with you, find out more about your improv work or your teaching, all the things
Awesome.
you do, best bet is do what?
Yeah, I'll jump. So I am trying to teach improv classes. I was able to teach a course through Warren Wilson, which was forced to go online, and it ended up being fairly successful. So yes, the Asheville School of Improv is looking to offer some classes. We'll be starting those up next week. So you can go to the Asheville School of Improv Facebook page. You can find me, Tom Chalmers, on Facebook, or I'll dare to give you, you can even ask information through the Asheville Community Theater. You can send an email to Amanda Klinikowski, KLINIKOWSKI at ashevilletheater.org. Theater is TRE. She's taking requests for improv classes on my behalf right now. And with that, my pitch on that, yes, it's not the same, but I have been working in this format so that I do run a brisk Zoom session improv class. So it's not a lot of people talking over each other and the camera breaking up and people yelling to mute and tell the dog to stop barking. I have figured out a way to minimize that and have it still be about your mind reacting to others and adding information and coming together to create things.
Great. Tom, I'd like to thank you for being my guest this first half hour on the Blaine's World Show. And hopefully we'll get to see you live and in person in the not too distant future. Look forward.
I'd like that very much. Thanks, Blaine. And great job with what you're doing with your show. And I'm really impressed with how you found it. Also, you found a way to make this work online.
Great. Okay, Tom, be well.
Bye now.
Okay. And I think we have our next guest waiting for us. That's great. So I want to say goodbye to Tom. And hey, Kitty, good to see you.
Hello, Blaine.
Great. We hear you. Is Paul floating around, or we have to try to get Paul into this as well? I know he's somewhere. Let me just find him. I'll put him in he's waiting for me. I'm going to admit him. So this is High Tech Kitty, and I think he's joining us in just a second. And thank you for being with us. As we're waiting for Paul, there he is. Okay. Hey, Paul.
Hello.
Hey, good to see you. Okay. I'd like to welcome my two guests to the second half hour of the Blaine's World Show. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to Kitty, is it Schaller? Is that how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Kitty Schaller and Paul Rollins. And they're with an organization we'll talk about in a second called What If We Give It Away campaign. And I should mention, guys, if you want to wave to all your fans and friends in Facebook world, I think we're on Facebook as well. So you want to wave and everybody's watching you there. And I should mention, there we go, Paul, that away. And I should mention that Paul Rollins is a former military and commercial pilot, entrepreneur, amateur photographer, Asheville tour guide, and he also had been a WPVM radio host. Paul and a few friends started this What If We Give It Away campaign after deciding to give away their own stimulus payments to those in greater need. Kitty Schaller has a degree in food science inspired by a 30-year career with Feeding America, first the food bank of New Jersey, my old area. Where are you in New Jersey, Kitty? Where do you live?
Bergen County, but the food bank is in Newark and Hillside.
Okay, and then as food bank's executive director in Nashville, home for 20 years now. Now 20 years, Kitty's policy activism focused on healthcare and health insurance for all. And I think you told me off the air, it was kind of interesting. And we talk about What If We Give It Away campaign. What exactly is that?
It's an idea. We are promoting an idea that when a windfall happens in your checking account from the federal government, because so many people are in economic distress and you're not, it might be a good idea to consider what if we give it away. And to do that, give it to some place that needs it. It may be an individual, could be somebody in your own family, a small business, a farmer. It could be a charity that's local, that's on the front lines, feeding people, taking care of current needs. Or it could be an organization you think is going to be facing economic trouble and they need your help too.
Who came up with the idea for it?
Well, Paul and I did, kind of.
I think it just came out of conversations of the fact, as Kitty said, that we were reflecting on the fact that out of necessity, because of the complexity of it, they couldn't really qualify people as to whether they really need this stimulus money or not. So they sent it to everyone. And there's certainly countless millions of people that while they might like getting free money, in truth, they could do without it. And we just had that conversation and thinking, well, what could we do to point that out to people, to encourage them that there are more of us out here like you, and that if we thought about it, we might consider giving it away and to those in greater need. So it came out of that conversation, and then we enlisted people, more creative people than ourselves from Atlanta and Wilmington and Asheville until we had a team together.
And I like what Kitty told me. I think it was off the air. It was kind of interesting. I thought, what if this campaign was a whole organization? And it's an organization of sorts, but how would you describe it, Kitty?
Well, as Paul says, it was the two of us, and then he reached out to friends, and suddenly we had 7 people, and we all had a little role to play, but we're all volunteers, and we just said, we can be small, and this can go viral. So we're just hoping it will go viral, so everybody thinks about that.
And what I was impressed with, especially the first time I spoke to Paul, is he said, well, he can't do something. I said, why not? He says, you have to refer to your PR person, I think he called it. Or, it's that you have like these 7 or 8 different people, each have a different hat, I guess, and they each do different things.
A couple of really talented, my nephew, Matt, is a branding manager from Atlanta, and he came up with the original website, the graphics, and then Chelsea and Wilmington handling social media, and then Jill and Asheville handling PR. So we began, the additions brought specific talents besides Kitty's and my original thought.
Now talk about the concept in terms of going beyond where it is now. So this started, I guess, out of Asheville kind of area, the two of you. Is it? Are other people doing this, or is this like going to go beyond just Asheville? What's happening?
Oh yeah, hopefully, yeah.
All the way to California, as far as we know.
Yeah, we've yeah. Did you finish, Kitty?
Right, go ahead.
The idea, this part of it is somewhat of a challenge to get across to people. We take no money. We don't want any donations. We don't take any grants. We are encouraging others to. So really the real purpose of our campaign is to spread the word. So if we had a half a dozen people giving a lot of money in Asheville, that wouldn't be successful by what we're looking for. We're looking for a viral campaign, not dissimilar from the ice bucket campaign of years ago, where people get on board and they start submitting videos of what they are planning to do with their money. And further, it can be people who perhaps they need their money and they need to keep their money, but they can still spread the word to others. So the viral campaign is where it's at for us.
No, I love the idea. I don't know if you've done this yet, but do you have video clips yet, or are you getting them?
Oh, yeah. On our website. Oh, yeah.
So how many people do you have on that website, ballpark?
I think there are 9. Is that right, Paul? Something like that.
There's been about 9 videos submitted. Yeah, and some of them are humorous, some of them are serious. So yeah, it's fun to do when you get people to understand we can really use their video and to have them just put it on Facebook, just plug it into our Facebook page or on Instagram or send it to our website and we'll take care of the rest.
No, so when they're doing this video, they're talking about what they're doing with their stimulus check. Is that the idea?
Mm-hmm.
And they vary widely. Some are individual, just helping. One friend of mine has contributed most of his money to a couple of servers and bartenders that are out of work and may not be able to go back to work. That industry, the restaurant servers is a really, really hard hit part of the economy nationwide. So there's one. I'm giving my money to a farmer who makes most of her money this time of year. And so that was really important for me. And it was right in front of me. So many times, whatever is needful is right in front of us if we just look. So that's what we were hoping.
And like a psychologist from LA making too much money to receive a check, but he made a video that he's giving away 20 hours of his counseling time to an organization, and another actress friend who's taking the money she would have spent at the hairdresser and giving it to causes in the LA area. So yeah, and to reiterate, a person can say in a video that they really need to keep the money, but they really want to encourage others out there to give. So in other words, that's the campaign for us. It's a little reverse engineering, you might call it. So
one of the things I really like about it, what I'm hearing about, is the fact that, hey, there's nothing wrong with making contributions to charities or to Manor Food Bank, all good organizations. One of the things I hear, Kitty, that, for example, one Asheville organization is trying to help raise money, help servers out, and that's great. But the individual servers, who gets it, and do they get 37 cents a piece, or how do you make the determination? Whereas I guess we as individuals know people, the farmer you mentioned, who are suffering, and that's like a really direct way of helping somebody.
mm-hmm. Right.
And it feels, making that personal connection feels great. And if it's a particular concern, I have a friend who got this word and she went immediately to Brother Wolf, which is an animal rights organization and also is caring for animals and making sure they find good adoptive homes, because she knew that their budget was going to be in trouble. So it varies. It depends on what people's priorities are.
Mm-hmm.
I might also say I'm in touch with Manor Food Bank on a regular basis anyway. And what they've told me is that what they're seeing is contributions that are multiples of $1,200. So maybe it's a $1,200 contribution or $400 contribution. And they can just tell that it's people who have divided their resources and are spreading them around, and man is getting a portion of it. So
we should get a clip from them, to talk about that, or they could be promoting, the concept. You mentioned, Paul, I think before that, so we're hoping it goes viral. We hope it goes out elsewhere. Do other people call it also the "What If We Give It Away" campaign? Is that the idea, to keep that consistent?
Yeah, I'm not sure I heard your question.
I'm sorry, is the idea that if somebody wants California to buy into this idea, or another state, we want them to keep calling it the "What If We Give It Away" campaign?
Oh yeah, yeah, and that again, the thing is sort of difficult for people sometimes. If they're giving to some campaign, they can announce they're giving it and just put our logo down at the bottom or the website or anything, just to spread the word. Doesn't have to be through us. It's just keep putting that out there. What if we give it away? What if we give it away? And you can do it in a million different ways. And it also doesn't have to be a video. You can just go on Facebook and say, I'm giving it with a "What If I Give It Away" campaign, and I'm giving mine to the such and such. So yeah.
How long do you see the campaign lasting?
Well, it started in April, and it sounds as though Congress is going to possibly do this again. Mm-hmm. So we'll then be saying, "What if we give it away again?"
Or we'll just continue on, because it's not an incorporation. We don't have any incorporation. We're not a nonprofit. We're just a group of people. So there's nothing for us to close down or stop. There's no reason to stop promoting it. So we'll probably continue that for a long time.
Well, Kitty, as you're saying about Congress, I still haven't gotten my check, so I know that other people still haven't gotten their checks. So it's still welcome. But, just talk to you folks. It seems to me that this could also be done. It doesn't have to be just, I don't mean to scare you, but just doesn't have to be done on this one time. It could continue past this. Just a rhetorical question. You get a raise, you get a bonus, you get your retirement, whatever you get. Right. Why not? It's a great question. What if we give it away? What would happen?
Right. No, that's a good point. And we had originally, the song is an REM song. And we're trying to get in touch with Michael Stipes, the lead singer from REM, hoping he would participate in some way, but we haven't had any successes yet. But Michael, if you're listening.
No, there's a song, What If We Give It Away?
Yeah, that was our inspiration. And there was a song, What If I Give It Away?
Well,
What
even
if
the
we
song,
give it
I'll have to dig it up. It's a great concept. So even the song did not come just because of the stimulus check, did it? Or did it come as a result of the stimulus?
It came as a matter of technically the economic impact
Right.
payment. But I just wanted also to say that there are people who will not get a check because their income is considerably higher. And we hope that they're going to decide that out of their considerably higher resources,
Absolutely.
they might decide to do the same thing. So
Right.
that's the idea. Just consider, these are amazing, unprecedented times. What can I do? How about if we give it to someone who
And
needs
the
it
nice
more?
thing, I assume there's no dollar limit as to what you can give.
That's right. And frankly, one of the things that's confusing to people is that because we're simply promoting an idea, when someone says, how many people have you reached? We don't know. How many dollars have been given? We don't know, because people are doing what they want to do. There's no way they're reporting to us. Although I've gotten lots of emails from friends who have told me all crazy kinds of wonderful things that they're doing. And one woman, just the other day, I received a note from a friend who said, when I got my stimulus check, I decided I would return it because I just don't need it. This is silly. And then along came your email and I said, what if we give it away? And that's what she decided to do. A much better.
Are people actually returning the checks? Or some
I
people?
hope not.
Yeah, exactly.
LA Lakers did.
I hope not. Who did?
The LA Lakers did.
Oh, that was different. That was not
But
the
money,
person.
but it was money that was received that was not necessary. And that's,
Right.
it was a different part of the CARES Act, but it's definitely the same kind of thinking.
Right.
Well, the same thing to what's really scary. You read other cases of people who are dead, are receiving the money, the families, and what a waste, that it could go to people who could help.
Yeah.
But if people who are listening, one of the things that we could use most is people who understand social media better than Kitty and me. Neither of us are very adept at that. And we need people who get the idea and are willing to put some time on the internet to help spread the word. As Kitty said, we receive lovely emails from friends who tell us what they're doing, and God bless them, but they're not telling others out there to pass the word. So it's so funny to get it across to people that in a way we don't care what they give, we just care if they pass the word. Would you please send it to 6 million people out there and let's get it going. We want millions of people to get on board with the concept.
You mentioned that you're seeking others. Let's say somebody is listening or watching on Facebook Live. What do you want them to do if they wanted to volunteer? Are you seeking volunteers, I guess?
Well, they can go to our website and get all the details. And I might add that in addition to some of those stories, either videos or stills that people are telling how they're managing to give it away, there's lots of other information on the website too, including a place where we've focused only on organizations working nationally and internationally, but those charitable groups that are meeting frontline needs now. They're feeding people. They're being first responders, all manner of ways that national, international work is being done, because this is a global crisis. So for those who think larger than local, there's a place for them on our website too.
And the website is whatifwegivitaway.us. And then it's on Facebook the same way, and then at What If We Give It Away on Instagram. So we're on all the social platforms. They can just go there and they can post themselves, or they could send a posting to our website and we'll take care of it.
So if somebody wanted to volunteer, what I hear you're saying, the best bet is to go to the website and find information about the organization. And is there then a way to contact either of the two of you, or to say, I'd like to help out with social media or some other form of volunteering?
We do have an email, and it is the same. It is whatifwegivitaway@gmail.com. And that will go to our social media person, who will then pass it along to any of us who are specified in the email, or just respond by putting a video or some stills or a story idea they have, putting it right up on social media. So she'll take care of that for us with that email address. What if we give it away at gmail.com?
Okay. Nice thing about this I'm hearing you say is that anybody can become a star too. You know, that they can have their.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there've been some really cute ones. I wish we could post them. They're all under 1 minute. And we've had some really cute ones up on. I wish we could post them right here. Maybe we'll do this again and just run a few of them.
And yeah, there are ways. I'll have to learn, Paul, but there's a way to share the screen, and you can be showing it to you and have other people look at it. But that'd be a great way to get people an idea of what people are doing. Talk about some of the creative things you've heard that people are doing. Any come to mind?
Well, social media person was the one who did the first video, and she wanted to donate to a local organization that was providing relief to domestic violence victims. But the main thing was, in her video, she talked about what she decided not to do. I could have taken a vacation. You know, I could have done this, I could have done that,
Right.
which is exactly what all of us do when there's found money. Oh, I can do this. So she went through that process and then said, but it's really amusing. It's in 23 seconds to make some huge impact.
And the reality is people aren't taking too many vacations right now anyway, so.
Not too much.
Exactly.
But so that was one. Do you have another one comes to mind, Paul? Somebody really quick?
Well, what was the tribe? And Nate was giving his to an Indian tribe that they're self-funded nonprofit from, do you remember, Kitty, the name of the?
Pine Ridge.
Pine Ridge.
Right.
One of our members is giving his to Pine Ridge Reservation that he's been involved with. I'm giving mine to Meals on Wheels and other organizations because I've been driving for Meals on Wheels for 8 years, so I'm very familiar with, and Kitty is a driver as well. So we're familiar with the need and the good work that's being done by delivering food every day to people who can't get out of their homes.
And one of the things I really like what Kitty said before was the idea, certainly you can do it, make a gift to Meals on Wheels or Manna or all these other good organizations, but here's an opportunity for you to help somebody you know. You know, I'm thinking out loud, you're giving me an idea. If I would get that check, as you're saying, even if I don't get the check, I can make a gift. Because, you know, like we tend to eat out a lot. We're blessed, you know, to be able to eat out in Nashville. We know a lot of servers and they have no money coming in, you know, so wouldn't it be nice to just say to somebody, because the whole idea on this, and I'll let you guys comment on it, is that this is also a gift with no strings attached, right? There's no, you don't have to get, you're not loaning the money, you don't want it back, you don't even want to thank you. Is it, you know, it's just you're giving it.
Oh, although on the website there is a little place that talks about how you can buy your way into doing appropriate things. If you can't give it away, but you're willing to buy it away, sell it away, whatever, how about buying gift cards to local businesses? That's easy as pie with restaurants, we think about that, but for all kinds of local businesses, to buy gift cards, that puts money in their pockets today.
Yeah.
And even though it's in a sense a loan, it matters right now. So that's another option.
And to tip generously when you order out too, things like that. But you know, not to wear out a point, from our campaign point of view, the super important thing to us is you keep passing the word, to get out there and tell others. Let's say you can't afford to give it away. So you come online and say, I can't afford to give it away, but I'm going to contact 100 people and encourage them to give it away. You know, so it's a fun thing if you sort of get the idea of it.
Yeah.
Well, you're motivating me, which I think is good. One of the reasons that you want to come on board. But yeah, I'm seeing the same thing too, Paul, that not only will I put this into in my blog, but also make a mention of it that, hey, if you want to join in, nice thing about this organization, it's very easy to join or participate. There's no
No dues.
no dues,
Join.
no membership card.
Dude.
Is there a secret handshake we get?
Oh yeah.
Not
Like this. It's like this. No, it's like this. You're giving it away like that.
Well, that's exactly it. But again, it's a cool concept. So where do you see it? So we're going to be continuing it for the next, you know, month or however long we do it. And if I participate, so you want me to go to the website and post my story, or post it on my Facebook page or LinkedIn, or what do you want me to do?
You could post it on Facebook under What If We Give It Away, or you could send it as an attachment or something to our website, and Chelsea will take care of posting it on all social media. So you could do all the above. You could put it on your own, and you could send it to us, and we'll further distribute it.
It needs to be sent to not to our website, because you can't post it directly.
Well, you can send it to her, Kitty. She'll post it.
Send it to that
Yeah.
email address.
Yeah.
What if we give
The folks go there at the website or the Facebook page, the logo is, we have a logo then, right? I've seen it. So they can get all that from the website,
Yes.
the Facebook
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, and I sent it to you as well. So you have a recent email, has an attachment. We have a poster, we call it a poster, that we created because we realized that people want to communicate by email. What could you send them without having to talk so much? So we created a sort of all-in-one poster. And so I sent it to you, so you can send it to your friends as an attachment. And you say, all you have to do is say, this might be of interest to you. You know, you don't have to say any more than that. Just pass the word, this might be of interest.
As you said, Paul, I think it's the real key is spreading the word, and you're motivating me, which I think is good sign. But that when people then post it on their own Facebook pages, other people see it. You know, so I posted on the organization website, you know, certain people see it, but I believe in general marketing, I call it high touch, not high tech. If I touch people, if I reach out to them via my Facebook page or Kitty mentioned email, then they'll see it right there in front of their face.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there's a psychology here that we've begun to understand a little bit, and that is that sometimes people find it a little bit arrogant to say what they're doing, and yet, if we think about it, they're being leaders. They're helping other people to find this and find a way to give it away. So even though you have to sort of display your own generosity in order to participate, it's a good thing. And I might add that for the people who are getting help, for them to go online and say, oh my gosh, this was so great. Because it's not just the money. It's the way it feels when somebody reaches out to help. So.
And one of the things I think you've done, which I was really impressed with, is that you can say you're giving or participating, but you don't have to tell how much or what you're doing with it, you know, so that, you know, some of the other organizations, you know, they say you gave in $50, you give in, you know, whatever the amount given. Here, it's just, you don't want actually to know, because I asked you how much has been raised, and you said you don't even know, nor do you really care.
Right. Yeah, because from our point of view, if we could get 10 million people to give $1 to somebody, that'd be pretty successful. You know, so from what we are doing, our job is to get the word out, spread it, more than it is specific amounts. So if someone comes on and says, I'm not giving a damn doggone nickel, but I'm gonna pass the word to 100 people. So, you know.
I'd like to thank the two of you for coming on board, explaining this concept. I think it's really cool that you explained it, and then hopefully we'll spread this word. We'll post it all on Facebook, elsewhere. Just to wrap up, if somebody now wants to get information, name of the campaign is the What If We Give It Away campaign. Best bet to find out more is what?
What if we give it away .us? It's not .com, it's .us. And Facebook, What If We Give It Away? Instagram at What If We Give It Away? So you can find it on any of those spots.
Okay. And like, thank you. Yeah. I'm sorry, Kitty, what?
Also on YouTube and Twitter.
Okay.
And that email address if somebody wants to participate by telling their story so that we can post it on our website. And for someone like Paul and me, who's not all that adept at social media, that email address will get it to our social media gal. She'll help out with that.
If you want to reach us locally.
Not being adept, I think you guys did great. I want to thank you for being my guest the second half hour on the BLAINESWORLD Show here on WPVM. And invite other people to listen in every Wednesday here at 9 a.m. on WPVM FM 103.7. We're also on Facebook at WPVM FM. You'll find us on the Facebook page. Hopefully you'll join us next week at same time, same place. Hopefully you'll participate in the What If We Give It Away campaign. Thanks a lot, guys. Speak to you soon.
Okay, nice joining you.
Likewise. Thanks again. Speak to you soon.